And we are live. If you're joining us now or watch later on the VOD, we love you because we love all of our viewers. Do all the stuff YouTube wants you to do with the liking and subscribing and all that. Tonight is going to be a little bit different. Not your usual campaign stream. We're sort of at the end of a chapter right before the holidays, so we're going to do a little recap before we come back and start fresh after the holidays. So yeah, we will just go ahead and jump right in. And then my brain just dies. The campaign started with sort of an ominous mission of the player characters heading out beyond the wall from this small village of Ursha. And while the party did begin to explore beyond the wall, they were quickly drawn back into the enclosure by the drama and machinations of the chieftain of one of the villages right here. If the map will load. Oh, I know why it's not loading. The party discovered some allies within the enclosure in the form of the Lunari tribes from the mountains here. And Kanos was somewhat forcibly married.
Forcibly? Yeah, I was going to say.
Nah, you character load. What do you mean? It's okay.
Hey, at first I felt pressured, but now
Love at first bite, dude. I mean,
hey man, love was in the air that day. That's for sure. Because Kynos met his wife, kinda, and then Alistair had to fight for the affections of his chieftain against the douchebag.
Yeah, you gotta theme
Foreign
it.
Sunseeker? Yeah.
I find that if you're not running like a super big party, you can kind of theme your sessions, like your episodes, and I don't know, it works out nice where it's like, oh, this was the one of the romance themed sessions or episodes.
That was also with Ro and his Joyzy heckling.
Noisy heckling master.
Every one of us were trying to figure out some role we could make to try to help you without actually
music.
intervening.
It would have gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, Mr. Sunsecret's gonna clean your clock, dude.
Yeah, Alistair got into his fight with the village chieftain for our village chieftain's love and affections. And
hey, it all worked out.
With the power of the Jersey heckler. Yeah. Alistair was
your mother.
Bro, also, can we just acknowledge that Ro rolled like better than he ever did that night too?
I rolled like trash, and I'm like, please, I just need to hit. Like when I hit so hard, but please, I just need to hit.
Little did we know.
Man, that was an apt description for what I did to your mom last night. God
damn.
Wow.
Damn. Ooh. My word.
After the drama with the chieftains and Kanos's engagement, the party slowly discovered some other allies sort of sprinkled throughout the enclosure in the form of Romastrauss's companions, a lot of whom are characters from previous campaigns.
Yeah.
which is a thing that I like to do. We've been running little backstory on the group. We've been running a sort of living world campaign for the better part of 6 years, and fuck, pardon my French. This is what like campaign 7 or 8, maybe more than
Going
that.
on 9.
Yeah. So we've run a lot of campaigns in this setting. There's a lot of history, a lot of player characters that have sort of become important NPCs. And periodically, we pull out what we always refer to as the legendary campaign and bring out the big guns and run stuff at level 20 or post level 20.
You know what would be cool to bring up, Sal? If you actually, I'll just message because I don't want to spoil it and then have it be. But 1 second.
You're good. And so yeah, that sort of is the explanation for Listens and Thormagander and Ezek and Ardoon and Toril, so the other allies. And then because of that, the campaign that all those characters are from, one of the players here didn't play in that campaign, and that's how we got Ronnie Jando, who has quickly become one of my favorite disposable characters that anyone has ever made.
Oh, you mean indispensable?
Yeah. He went from disposable to indispensable as soon as you came up with the name Ronnie Jando.
And then he went off that
As
night.
long as
and
he has
just-
the rolls behind his back.
He did carry that session though, pretty hard.
Dice gods had his back.
Mm-hmm.
From once the party had established their allies, which was a lot of that was sort of the meat of this first chapter, was you guys wandering all over the enclosure, collecting friends, making alliances, and basically taking care of things at home before we move on to sort of the next segment of the campaign, which is basically there's a whole lot of this map that you guys are aware of, but there's not much of it that you have explored very far beyond the wall.
Basically,
much
I think
just-
the farthest we've gone is the red pool.
You've gone over to this set of ruins out here
Oh yeah, that's right.
in the
And then
north.
that city down south.
Yeah, and then you guys have made your way down there and hit a couple of places along the way. And then the sort of while all of this has been going on, the party has also slowly been unraveling the mystery of Delith and the sort of travel network that he can open up that is him.
that was our game master trying to say as much as he could without giving anything away extra. But yeah, we
As Stealth would say, I'm here to serve.
we've been slowly but steadily opening the map. We actually just gotta go to stuff. We had a decent plan before the Imis and Etra stuff really popped off, and we had to kind of veer. But
Yeah, the Imis and Etra, that was kind of, we were exploring down into that city, and that's when we got like word of the
because we were
Imis and
like,
Etra stuff, and we were like, well, never mind. We like immediately went back to town, and stuff started kicking off, and
we were in that
The mini
city, right?
war arc, yeah.
Yeah, we were in this city, and then we had to go back. And the war arc has been awesome. And now we're kind of on the
Oh, yeah, 100% it's
exploring
been good.
side. But yeah, we got a lot of map to still explore. I
Yeah,
mean, we've been going for a while, but we're only level 6, so we got a long way to go.
And the war arc was something that I had kind of it had been in the back of my mind when I ran the first of the Kynera campaigns of like maybe I keep them in the enclosure for a while, and I decided against it. And this time I was like, I think I'm gonna like let them out and then kind of pull them back in. And most of the first chapter of the game be to like handle things at home before you start the real like exploration. That way you guys are higher level and I can sort of have the illusion that there is nastier there was like way nastier shit outside than there would have been if you guys had been coming at it at like level 1 or 2.
Yeah.
You know.
I would just like some recognition that still being like level 1 or 2, the dice gods blessed me and I murdered like a boss that you were wanting to stalk us
My
for a
boy.
while, and I
Yeah.
just destroyed it. The first session it showed up.
Yeah.
No one
Oh.
expects the barbarian fighter damage.
Yeah.
No one expects the centaur speed.
Yeah.
Oh
That
yeah,
too.
yeah, that was that too.
I couldn't get away and keep the enemy's health up. It was just like ugh.
Free
And
attack of opportunities with no map.
it-
Let's
it
go.
wasn't
Yeah,
the
that's true.
enemy that could just like fight you in the open either. It's like an ambush predator type of enemy, and so it was just like I need to run but I can't run and I can't turn and fight. I was just like, man, this enemy's just about to get wrecked.
I think
like
I
the-
railed like only 18s that time. Like
Yeah.
it was just couldn't miss.
Yeah,
I was
you,
there with you, cheering you on. Don't worry, buddy.
That's
Me
it.
too.
Yeah.
I cast dancing lights. I helped a lot.
That in the first session. In the first session, Alistair finally got to ride his horse.
And almost
Then
die,
20
Omega Law.
every attack.
Yeah.
No, that was like
I know.
like everyone was getting real bad, and I'd roll up and just smoke something, and then
That's
move on to
true.
the next target and just smoke it
I-
again.
I just remember that one session that you literally should have just listened to me, and you listened to everyone else's peer pressure and
know.
almost died.
I
Don't you know what?
Uh,
Don't ever do that again.
And now Alistair is terrified of falling, so
I'll always catch you, baby.
he'll never
Well, yeah.
forget, man.
with no
He's afraid of
discernible-
all reflex checks now.
with all, with no more discernible explanation, we convinced Alistair to take a jump. And
Don't worry,
To
Alan,
be
don't worry,
honest,
Santa, I
like
got
we
you.
really didn't think it would end that badly. Like
I
it
did.
was
What do
it
you
was a
mean?
pretty easy.
The
It was a
odds
pretty
were
easy
in
one.
my
Yeah,
favor, too. That's the
exactly.
thing, is that,
It
like,
was just like a leap.
Oh, ye who believe in the dice. I do
yeah,
not believe in the
odds
dice.
were in my favor.
The
See,
odds
I
are
just
never in
didn't
your
roll
favor.
Higher than a
This-
4.
This is what happens when you have good rolls most of the time. Us, like myself and Rack and Zale, we don't trust the dice gods at all.
And that's
know
why
the
the
dice gods are
dice
gonna
gods
fuck me, okay?
don't favor you.
That's
That's why.
I know. I believe wholeheartedly what
I've-
do you mean, but I
I've
also
been-
know that my
I've
ass is
been
gonna get
burned by the
fucking
dice
waxed.
gods too often.
Yeah, what's the
we,
counter
uh,
at? Like 23 nat one.
Mm.
is
When you get 6 nat 1s in the first session,
Oh man,
you
that is
tend
hilarious.
to lose faith in a lot of things.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'll go look through all the VODs, and I'm gonna count how many nat ones we have now in total throughout over this break, and then I'll come back with a number, see who has the worst luck.
I'm
I
pretty
don't think
sure
we
I'm
need to
coming out on
actually
top.
check. I'm pretty sure we just know that it's Ginger.
Whoa, what do you mean? I've had my fair share of nat ones.
Yeah, but-
I think Daigle took too far a lead with the first couple sessions.
Nah, dude.
He was at like 12 after like the.
After like 3
I'm-
sessions, I was at 12.
We will see. I'm gonna go watch the VODs and count them. I'm gonna just speed through them, going, okay, where's these nat ones?
All right, yeah, fair
I'll
enough.
do it. I'll do it.
But
I'm
yeah,
pretty sure there was a point where I rolled 3 nat 1s back to back.
Yeah.
There's not even an achievement for that.
If you are doing that, Rack, take a tally of crits as well, or
I will.
yeah,
I'll
natty
find-
20s.
I will literally go
That'd
like
be
get a
good,
whiteboard
yeah.
and I'll go through the hours of footage and just crit, non-crit. And I'll have all your names. It's like, yes, this is good data collection. That way I know who I'm gonna inspire more. You know,
And then they'll have
They're-
the moment where they'll
The
be, like,
averages.
you'll have the picture of the whiteboard with, like, you know, Alistair and then crit, and then you'll just see the point on my graph where it just tanks to the ground and be like, and that's the part where I fell.
It's the
And,
part where I almost died.
there's you guys' route for the first arm of the campaign, basically. I think I missed a short dip down to here.
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
a short dip
Yeah,
down there and then Delith back to
Yeah,
Yeah,
town.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. But it would have been this northern arm first, and then the southern arm, and then the party split.
This is where Romastra is reunited with his old companions.
Yes, and where Ronnie Jando was born.
Indeed.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So as you guys can see, we've opened up a lot of the map through kind of our followers, and just
It's all been our followers pretty
Yeah.
much. That, and then we found that map in the Inetris village.
Yeah, we found a map, and also our followers have been opening stuff up for us. But we've only explored this much of the map, and
We
The
still
second-
have
there is a second route here.
that.
Yeah,
like-
well, this is just up until the party split.
Yeah.
And then after the party split, it pretty much let me get another thing here. And I'll do this one in blue. Oh
Yeah.
shit. Well, that one's gonna have to get deleted because it my map went scrolling up with my line.
Jeez. Here we go.
Sorry.
The party split also happened because the full party, we got a vision from one of the seers in our village that basically catastrophe would strike if the full party participated in the war. And so if you see on the map, we have a strike force and what we call the sword team. And the sword team is looking for a sword. But yeah, that blue
Well, we
one-
found the sword.
It's
now we just
very
gotta get
sharp
the
of
rest
you.
it.
that
I'll
blue
see
one is
myself
our-
out.
Move that off for a second. I gotta get this other one. And there we go. That's our party travel route. Trying to get it all on the stream screen right now.
Yeah.
And this dark red line here is sort of the strike
Right,
force
yeah.
just did, I mean, they would have been all over this area out here, sort of commanding and stuff, and then the other team was, yeah, but a lot of their time was spent doing military stuff and preparations, while the other team basically did a huge beeline down here. And then through the power of the Delith door here, they now have sort of a travel route back. And if you hadn't sort of gathered, a lot of the next chapter takes place sort of down here in this greater area.
Yeah, as we kind of focus back on exploration.
I mean, what do you mean? We have a colossi here soon, maybe.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I think
that's
before
spoilers.
we can
Nobody
do
knows
the
what that
thing where
is
we
yet.
get the full sword, we have the.
No,
Colossi thing.
I'm pretty sure Deep Eye said something about that before the end of the last session, if my memory
Yeah,
serves me correct.
She said that there is a colossi.
In those mountains, I think.
Mhm.
Just think
Uh,
where that sketchy fetch
so,
link was
like-
going.
We,
And
we
if,
have a big fight here soon. You know what I mean? Gotta get ready to dig deep.
For you guys,
You might say he was a sketchling.
Sketch links.
for you guys watching. The
Might you
Colossi are
fetch
kind of
something for me though?
one of the staple boss enemies of this setting, and so this is our we'd usually fight one earlier. Like for instance, in the old campaign that Romastraz and the other party are from, we had fought almost one every level. But
Sales teasing us though.
yeah,
which means it's gonna be one of those fights that you better pucker your butt because it's gonna be fun and fast.
Mhm.
yeah.
That, and he's had a chance to work out all the like movement and stuff now too. Like they'll
Mhm.
move now.
Yeah,
I
they'll
think.
like I guess that actually kind of brings us around to another thing is like if you are not familiar with what we're doing, and during this recap, because I don't have the like health bars up and everything, the stream overlay looks a little bit messed up, but this is VTT is Foundry, and you can do some crazy stuff with it, and that's that and a little Photoshop knowledge is what has facilitated a lot of this. But the Foundry community modules, the next little segment with the Colossi fight and stuff like that uses vehicles and mechanisms to great effect, so that these enormous things can like move around and the sort of the level can move, because it's obviously all inspired by sort of Shadow of the Colossus and stuff like that. And I've been trying for so long to get it to feel more authentic, and I feel like I've finally had the time to work it out.
I also feel like that we're gonna do this fight, and I'm not exactly gonna be able to use my horse on this fight, and my heavy armor is going to suddenly become a detriment when I have a 20-foot movement speed.
I got you. Don't worry, baby. I got you.
don't exactly expect my horse to be able to mountain goat its way up a.
Not with that attitude.
Well, that would be very entertaining.
Not
don't
with that
expect
attitude.
it
I
to
believe.
work.
I need you to have faith. Okay, we might be able to work something out here. Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited for the first Colossi fight of this campaign. The last Colossi fight ever was we had just moved into Foundries, so Zale was like way less experienced, and we already had like a dope flying bird Colossi that was really cool. So I can't imagine what this one's gonna be like when Zale actually knows what he's doing. in
Oh man,
Foundry.
my first Colossi was just a still image that we had to climb up.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, dude. We've
that's
come a
how most of
long
them
way.
were. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah,
oh
I mean,
man.
I remember those too. That was like the end of my Kynera campaign, because that was the first campaign I ever played with you guys. Was actually the kind of prerequisite campaign to this one in this setting.
Yeah, I mean, man, for like me and Rack, I mean, when we started, it was roll 20, and way back, and then we sort of graduated to Fantasy Grounds, and
Fantasy was
Used that
pretty
for
good
a
there
good
for a
long
bit.
time.
That was pretty good. Even
Yeah,
though the
that's
wheels
true.
were falling off at at one point, it was still pretty good.
yeah,
you know
it
it's
was
bad with the spell book crashing the server because I had too many spells.
Fantasy Grounds was like I have the perfect analogy. Fantasy Grounds was like your dad's beat up old Ford that you don't know how it still runs, but it still runs, and it still runs really great until suddenly it doesn't.
And then you
that
knew it
was-
was time.
and then it was time to get a new
As
truck.
soon as my spell book for one of my characters was literally just making the server fucking crash, it was just like, okay.
Yeah, that was one of the big breaking points as we got up to high levels, and that time we were playing 5e still, and our casters were literally getting to a point where if they opened their spell books, it would crash the server, and we're like, we need to look at another VTTs.
What do you mean your spell list is crashing the server? It just is. I'm sorry. What do you mean?
Is it possible to learn this power?
not from a Jedi.
I was lucky enough. I'm happy that I didn't come right into Foundry, because I feel like I would have taken it for granted, like anything
Mhm.
else.
Oh, it was
So-
nice.
Yeah, so I'm happy that I did, because I was able to play one campaign. Because did we start Duality's Residence in Fantasy Ground or no?
We did. It was like a tail
Yeah,
end.
because that's when we had to.
It was like the very tail end. We had like a couple of sessions, and then we swapped over because we swapped over to second edition.
Mhm.
Right when we went over, when we went to Foundry. Yeah, it was literally like when we did second edition, we swapped to FoundryVTT. So
we
did a little bit of 5e stuff in Foundry.
we did a little bit of 5e. We
That's what I'm saying.
yeah
When
we
did the campaign start? Was it in
My
Foundry?
first campaign was the Duality's Residence one, and it was started on
Foundry.
on Foundry.
Yeah,
It was Jess's campaign was still going on, and then a couple of Zale's other night campaigns were going on, and they had like right as I started watching you guys for the first time, you guys were kind of in the process of moving everything over, and then the Duality's Residence one was pure only Foundry.
they
So
all
I
blend for me.
have actually only played on Foundry, and I
Be
still don't.
grateful for-
I still don't take it for
It
granted.
blends to me. It blends because I'm playing in so many campaigns,
Yeah,
and then also like Fantasy Grounds was like there for most of the time.
yeah, because when we say we've been playing together 6 years, like 8 or 9 campaigns, that's just the ones I've run. Ro runs campaigns, Ginger runs campaigns, their Rack's sister runs campaigns, and so between everybody, we've probably
When
had
I have willing people, I do PvP tournaments.
Mhm.
Potato.
Yeah, and so we've had, like as far as just like story campaigns, we've had at least probably 15, and then when you count in like we've done like what 3 or 4 arena nights, we've done a couple one shots, a couple adventure paths, like
Yeah, we've got a lot.
It just blends.
Yeah, we got a lot of group play under our belt here.
mhm.
It just blends for me because it's just been so much.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
was able to play 2 campaigns in Fantasy Ground.
If you told me we're going back to roll 20 and like next year, I would just laugh at you and go bye bye. I would just say bye. I'm not
As
going
a-
back to that ever again.
As a DM, I would like you just literally be like shooting yourself in the foot. I mean, there's so much less work to run Foundry. Especially
That,
in,
and I mean, and the biggest issue that we had with Fantasy Grounds was that it didn't have the dynamic lighting, like the sight lines,
Mhm.
which Foundry
Yeah.
just has by default.
Yeah. Oh man,
and
and
so
that
does Roll20.
No, I mean,
And that is
Roll20
the-
just got dynamic wall lighting
Oh, when,
this
when
year.
we did,
No.
No,
Roll20
they
had it back
they
when.
had sightlines when we did your test campaign, Ginger.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
ago.
There was something they got just this year that was something to do with dynamic lighting. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
It was like something just added, but Fantasy
Yeah.
Grounds just did not have dynamic lighting.
Well, they might have
supposedly.
gotten lighting. But
Oh,
they
he
had
means Fantasy Grounds, not Roll20. Roll20 had the
Oh.
dynamic lighting. Fantasy Grounds did not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Fantasy Grounds Unity supposedly got it now.
Yeah, but they were supposed
but-
to have it out of the gate, and they didn't. So.
Yeah. Well, Fantasy Grounds Unity
main reason
also
for-
was supposed to have released like 3 years ago, but I think they just full released this year. So a lot of
We've
things
also
got
played
delayed.
in a lot of different tabletops. We even messed around. Savage had us do a couple things in Tailspire.
Tailspire.
Yeah, we've
It's really
had-
fun, but they don't have a built-in game system, so you kind of have to do everything manually. Which,
don't mind.
if you don't mind doing the old school roll-in, and you get 3D minis, and you can build your maps as if you had like
Hashtag not sponsored. hashtag not
material.
sponsored.
it was
You
it
know,
was really cool. All right, I'm just a little defensive. You guys all hated it.
What do you
but
mean? I
like-
love
I-
clickety clack roll. What do you
hate it.
mean?
I think it's
Monkey brain.
perfect. I think it's the perfect system for like at-home games. Like if we could all
100%.
meet up in a place, I would be using Tailspire and not Foundry.
I don't think it's bad by any means. It's just
Yeah.
it lacks a lot of key features that I would
My
want to have.
monkey
in a
brain
tabletop.
just wants to roll dice, and that allowed me to roll dice. So
There's so
bring
many
it.
moans and groans missing from everything you guys are saying. It's just
What do you mean?
shocking.
I didn't say that to you.
I know
Wow.
it's not you, Rex. God damn, dude.
Yeah, like I
Throw me
if
into the bus.
if we weren't playing online, all scattered across the whole of North America, and we could meet in a place, then I would definitely be using Tailspire, just because
I
you
will
can just
keep
have
the
character
dream
sheets
alive.
nice and-
One day I'll be able to.
My monkey
One,
brain
one
is
day
set
when
it
they
up
have
right.
system integration, then
Exactly, and
I
Yeah.
think that they'll get.
it'll work.
I look for Tailspire to get system integration with something this coming year.
Yeah.
Like, it's too good of a VTT not to, and
well, it'll never see 5e integration. Sorry, it'll never see D&D integration because of the fact that Wizards of the Coast is their new system. They're developing their own proprietary VTT for it, and I've heard rumors floating around. I don't know how valid they are. Apparently, they're also doing away with the open gaming license for D&D 1.
that
So
doesn't surprise me.
yeah, so it's just
no more unlicensed stuff.
It's just like now,
No
now it's
third
like
party.
Stuff, basically.
every like just no more third party content for the system without Wizards express permission
Yeah.
and a massive cut from them.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Yeah, I
that
know.
and it, like, sites and stuff that had the SRD hosted and stuff won't be able to do that. So there will be no
Mhm.
no rules access without going through Wizards of the Coast, unfortunately.
yeah,
Which-
without D&D Beyond or something and buying all the books, and you can't even really. I think there is an option for DMs to share books, with their players. But I forget what the limitations and stuff on it are. But that's one thing. Like Pathfinder 2 is so nice just because of the fact that if I have a rules question, I just pull up Archives of
Archives
Nethys
of
and
Nethys, yeah.
just I can find it,
Yeah.
and everything is in there. All of the core rule books, everything is freely
Um,
available.
As a DM, now that we've run a long term, basically like 1 to 20 campaign to sort of like cut our teeth, learn Pathfinder, and now I've been able to sort of slow it down running this campaign. I have no regrets
Yeah,
about switching.
Yeah, neither do I.
the system's nearly perfect for us.
Mhm.
Just
we
because
do-
we're all like power gamers and stuff. We love
Power
the
gamers, we
crunchy rules and stuff.
Yeah, we like a lot more rules. We like a lot more like optimization and stuff. I mean, that was another thing I wanted to sort of pose to you guys on the stream, in my sort of like list of talking points that I've got here. I was going to sort of, when we get back from the holidays, I want to post sort of snapshots and get everybody's character sheets so far at this point, in some format where we can post them and make them available. Maybe in the form of video, maybe in the, just PDFs on the Discord or whatever, but
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
so that people
Right.
could see like how you guys are built and what the party looks like, just from a raw numbers standpoint.
Yeah, that's
I would suggest everybody, like, we could post our builds from Pathfinder or Path Builder. The problem with that is our builds require a paid version of Path Builder, so
I mean,
People can still
It's out of
yeah.
date.
just can't edit them.
built
Okay,
out of
I
date.
wasn't sure you could open them.
You can still open them.
Okay.
If you have-
Yeah, it just basically it just tells you this uses features from the paid version. You won't be able to see those, and it just basically just deletes them.
No, it doesn't even do that. You just can't change them.
yeah. No, you can see the full all the selections.
Full build, you just can't change any of the selections. If it's,
Because I've done it before from different accounts by accident. And it was
so I have it paid on my phone. I don't have it paid on my PC. So when someone links me a thing in Discord, it's always the unpaid app. So I'm very well versed in that. And yeah, it lets you look at
In
it.
my opinion, the app is so good that I actually bought it on both platforms.
I
but-
love how it works on the phone.
Yeah,
So much.
I prefer the phone version of it, but sometimes I like having it pulled up on my PC
Oh,
and
see,
just having that.
Yeah, I
It's-
just exclusively have it on my phone.
I sit here with it on my phone with 3 different Archives of Nethys pages up,
Yeah.
looking at
Well,
stuff.
when I'm sitting there doing slides and stuff and writing the script for
Yeah, it's
for
nice to have it
Pathfinder
on the other
prototype
screen.
videos, yeah.
I just have to sit on the arm of my chair with it open. And then you guys are
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, what are you doing?" I'm scrolling through the app real quick. I'll admit,
Yeah.
I've done it
Mhm.
because I play so many characters and they're all so vastly different that I need little refreshers every now and then. That I basically just be like, "Hey, what is going on at this level?" Oh yeah.
Oh, right. I leave Path Builder up on my second monitor when we're playing. I got that other character sheet ready to go.
And that kind of like I just completely lost my train of thought.
Transitions into something.
Yeah, transitions into something, but
That is a nice segment for
That train left the station. You were not on it.
yeah, just got a lot going on. It's just not coming back to me. It's just not
It's
at
all
all.
right. Next talking point.
Yeah.
It'll eventually come back.
Reconvene on that later.
Oh, it's not what I was thinking of, but some things to come in the campaign, in addition to sort of the next arm being back to exploration focused. There, I have two-ish main arcs for the next section planned, with some opportunities for you guys to use both sets of characters. Obviously, we got the Colossus fight, and I'm trying to go a little bit more character oriented with my villains. As a DM, I've noticed that a lot of my villains here lately have been flat. And when I think back to some of my great villains, they monologued a little bit more, or just sort of messed with the party a little bit more. And
It's kind of hard when you have a centaur barbarian running them down.
well, yeah, but like the ones that I
Yeah.
think of are
You got
like
something to say, Ginger?
the villain.
No, I think he's thinking more like along the lines of the
yeah.
legendary campaign.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the-
right, where that
like
was a very
Linderoth, yeah,
that
that
was a
was
very personal villain,
Mhm.
right?
Well,
like he summoned each one of us individually and like offered us a
Like the
deal to
demon,
side
the
with
devil's
him.
deal kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like like so it was a much more like everyone had a personal stake in
Mhm.
that villain kind of thing, right?
And-
It wasn't just like, for the greater good of mankind and all that shit. Like no, like everyone was like, this guy's targeting my friends, my family, like
Yeah,
stuff like
it was-
that. Like
he not only did he pulled you at, like, he would come to you in a dream, just you and him. He would basically offer you the world if you turned on your friends and helped him. And then when you didn't, he basically let you know, don't get in my way or I'll murder you and everyone you love. And
And never killed Dougie. Like,
yeah,
no, it's not cool,
killed-
man.
killed important NPCs. Just an
mean,
all-around bad dude.
Mhm.
And
mentally mess with others, but actually have to pull the trigger with one.
Yeah.
and I don't know. I wanted a little bit more out of the Emis and Etrus chieftain, but I don't know. I'm happy with how that shook out.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
he was a little bitch anyways. It's fine.
He died on the ground, just like his brother.
Oh my
Called
god.
it alone.
I was
after getting impaled by 3 darts from Ronnie Jando.
well, and so just another thing I like to do in these sort of recap breakdown things. I think this is kind of I don't know. I kind of like that. I think it's a good practice for a campaign because it keeps us like we'll kind of all have a lot better idea. We've gone back over everything. But my idea with that villain was, I know Xander had, whenever he was making his character, he had mentioned basically that he's trying to be like the Moon Watcher of this enclosure, and I was like, okay, dope,
And
so
for some reference for those who for viewers, Moonwatcher was an NPC that we met in in the first Kynera campaign we ever had, and the party immediately got like a really cult leadery vibe from him. He was really full of himself. He was a paladin, and Kynera shadows are weak to radiant. We were from 5e at the time, so the Kyneran shadows were weak to radiant damage. So paladins would just ruffle stomp through a bunch of shadows. And so Moonwatcher was like overly confident of himself because he was a paladin build, and was leading a party that was way too big to be leading out into the wilds, because there was an established fact that you can't take more than a certain amount of people. And so the party was like, we need to steer clear of this guy. Like he's got this cult leadery vibe, and he's doing things that are demonstrably not smart to do. So, but eventually, like, stuff happened, events, and over time, Moonwatcher kind of grew on the party. They established a rapport with him and his followers, and ended up he became a much better leader, less culty and more like just like a true.
That was due to our interactions. We circumvented him and went through Lady Deep Eyes with a lot of that. Like we,
That too,
basically
yeah.
we got the rapport with his trusted lieutenants,
Mhm.
the ones that he would call upon to get stuff done. Like, oh, I need this done. So it was like his second in command, his like advisor. Like we went straight to those people and got them on our side, so that basically we were whispering in his ear through his own people.
Mhm.
by our
And-
good deeds.
And then you couple that with the fact that he took just a series of hard losses and just got humbled out there. And that coupled with his advisors having good advisors.
Yeah, he fucked around and he found out. That's what
Yeah,
happened.
exactly.
We
And
kept warning him that it's like, no, like you can't mess
can't be
around, you gotta
doing that here.
careful, you need to be smart, you got to think first. And then he was shown firsthand exactly why we kept like pounding that into him. And yeah,
and
so
then
it
even
became-
even in the big war at the end of that campaign, he while you guys won, and even Moonwatcher's forces were like overwhelmingly victorious, but in the rolls afterwards, he literally lost his right hand man during the fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just like even in victory, Moonwatcher just took licks the whole time.
Yeah.
But
Now
and
he
luckily
believes.
he didn't go the route of despair. Luckily he was able to learn from the experience and to become a much better leader from that. So that's why like part of it too is we're also excited that Moonwatcher and some of the people from that region, that campaign, are making their way to the current location. Things are kind of converging, and it's all going to come to a head.
yeah, because it
So-
interconnects the worlds. Because
Mhm.
until they show up, we basically, like as players, have no idea where this region of Kynera sits along like the greater scope of the world space, right?
Mhm.
So then they will kind of grant us that kind of landmark,
And
figure
that's
out a little bit where we are and stuff like
I
that.
think we're like, take a guess. We're to like the southwest.
you're close.
Yeah,
You're close.
I think we're almost directly west.
Yeah, you're almost directly west.
Yeah.
Pretty much, because they said that they're gonna be landing on this coast and stuff. And so this area that you guys can see over here, that's Janaea, where the Draugr armies and stuff are.
Oh wow, we're actually really close then. Okay.
Oh my god.
And so like just literally right over here is the rest of Janaea, and then somewhere sort of like way over like behind the chat, far to the east is Atan and Minir.
And
Yeah.
those are where the first Kynera campaigns took place, and kind of where a lot of the big heroes from that are. I would just like to also point out, talking about the Atan characters, only one of them made it into the legendary style of campaigns that we talked about before, and she basically came back at God, and is like many times more powerful than probably any other Kynera character that exists right now.
Well,
Which is
especially
very
because the original campaign, those characters only made it to level 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or sorry, level 6.
Level
I think
6,
really
yeah.
we stopped at level 6. So, like...
And that was less a problem with the characters or something that happened. It was more so
it was
just an
more
issue
we
with 5e.
Finished, yeah, like we hit the thing
Uh,
for 5e, and we just kind of like basically hit the
Well,
end of the story beats.
Well,
for-
the thing about 5e is the way power scaling goes is just like
After level 5, whenever your healers get Revivify, 5e is easy street after that. And since Kynera is more designed to be survival horror and that sort of thing, you just can't really play this setting in 5e after level 5, right? And so I basically, around level 6 in 5e, for Kynera, you basically become gods. There's nothing in the setting that can threaten you anymore because you can just pop each other right back up. And
I mean, the only like limiting factor is that it does cost 300 gold every time you want to revive somebody. But in 5e, the way the economy works, unless you're just spending willy-nilly, you're gonna have that much money.
Yeah.
Regardless, and then on top of that, the way
It's hard to die.
it's already hard to die, and then just rezzing is just as simple as casting a 3rd level spell. Whereas in 5e, if your character dies, like 2e, character, the dying condition is much more terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Dying the way
every
dying and
time
wounded
you go
works.
down, you get wounded. And you
Yeah.
go down again, you get wounded too. Now you're like almost
Mhm.
brink of death, right? If you go
Gee.
down, if you're wounded 1 and you go down to a crit, you are a hair's breadth from death.
Yeah.
Or if you're wounded 2 and you go down to a crit, you're
Well,
dead.
yeah, exactly. If
Yeah.
you go wounded 2 and you go down to a crit, that's it. Game over.
That's
You're
it.
Yep.
Yeah, GG.
done. Spend your hero points to not die.
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
pretty much
But,
what that is.
But it's but if you do die in 2e, you're probably just rolling a new character, because reviving a character into a dead character in 2e is an adventure in and of itself, or literally a campaign in and of itself, because of the fact that the only way to revive somebody is with a 5th level ritual that you have to cast at a higher level, the higher level of the person you're trying to revive. So like finding someone who can cast that ritual in the first place is very difficult, and then the actual monetary cost behind it is pretty prohibitive as well.
Yeah.
So, which it just makes like you get more attached to your character because you don't want them to die. Because
Or
if you do,
If your friends really, really like you, they can just straight up travel to hell.
I mean, why even travel to hell when you could just save them right then and there?
But then there was my answer to that dilemma, which was just be a like rogue wizard that had an AC higher than a tank and mobility that you just can't pin them down. Like that was my answer. Just don't die for it.
But yeah, so 2e definitely fits like Kynera much nicer.
we got completely off topic though, because we're talking about Moonwatcher and his relationship to Xander's character concept. So I didn't mean to get far off topic,
but yeah, so because you were like, you know, I'm gonna make the Moonwatcher, just jumping right back in, because you were like, I'm gonna make this sort of the Moonwatcher of this setting. I was like, okay, well then I need to make, like, I'm gonna make the anti-Moonwatcher, and that was sort of my
the Cult Watcher. Got it.
That was my idea with
what Moonwatcher
Sunseeker.
would have been without the angels on his shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. Is the sort of, you know, that the Sunseeker, you know, the innocent entrance, and even his name, you know, Moonwatcher, Sunseeker,
Yeah.
you know, did that and just. But like I said, he didn't. I don't know. I should have had him talk more.
I mean, we didn't really give him much
I
chance.
mean,
I basically
Yeah.
kicked his ass
I think he was a
in
man of few
combat,
words
and then
already.
was
He
kinda-
just wanted to beat people up. That's how I saw him. You know, I don't think it was a bad choice. I just think he was more of a man of action over a man of words.
And that is
then-
kind of how I wanted him portrayed, but I feel like in the tabletop
the
RPGs, if you,
monologues would have been
yeah,
beneficial.
I still don't like, you know, I'll be on that one. I'll be like, I don't think he would be a man that would monologue. I think he just wait with his first encounter with, you know, him showing up in the village and like basically trying to force a wedding. I think he's just a man of that. He isn't really a man for speeches. He's just gonna take off his coat. It's time to brawl, baby. That's how I see it.
Also, narratively, like I think just where he was put narratively, like he, you know, what I mean, like he stopped our exploration in its tracks.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like we had to like deal with him then. It wasn't like a
yeah,
deal with him over time thing because he had like stopped the plot almost.
Yeah.
'Cause he like really had like he had started attacking the village and like all that
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah,
it's the kind of thing where it's like we cannot let him just kind of do what he's gonna do.
because I just don't see him there to speak. Like just with the first encounter and how he handled, just like how quick the war. Like I said, it follows with the idea that he's a man of action. He wants it done, and done quick.
And,
No time for BS. You know, that's just me though.
No time for talking before the fight, but
Mhm.
just enough time for us to talk to him before we killed him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you put it like that, maybe I did do it right.
I mean,
Yeah.
just with the first encounter.
man.
Well,
Right.
that's always the thing with any like DMing. Like, is I can write a villain and have them be the best written villain, but if it doesn't go over well for the group, then it doesn't matter, right? And so basically, you know, what you guys are saying is like, no, that was a good villain. He served his purpose as a villain. He got beaten, and yeah,
he was like the I think he was a great like opening act.
yeah, but
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely would have had to have monologued a lot more on him.
Yeah,
If
if
I
you-
He
wanted
was
to
a
keep
good
him around.
like thug kind
Yeah.
of villain.
Yeah.
You know, like
Mhm.
very kind of simple, but you know,
Yeah,
also,
I never saw him monologuing in my mind.
yeah, like
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
no he wasn't a complex villain, but he was a clear villain.
Right.
Mhm.
He was like a strong personality. I also think that like
Well,
the
and I really, really wanted him to find out somehow that you guys had killed his brother.
Well, now he
But
knows.
well, yeah, but every time that like it could have come around, you guys would just ace your role, your like deception rolls and stuff like that. And so it was just like, I can't
Yeah,
take
or-
that away from them.
Any of the people that might have been able to tell him we either also killed or wound up joining us, so then they would have no reason to tell him.
Yeah,
You know, like
that's,
stuff like that. So it's
that's
like,
Timmons. Good old
Yeah.
oh
Timmons.
yeah.
And the whole time, Timmons is like, you guys were just like, we don't need Timmons getting caught. Let's send him out to explore way away from all of this.
By
And
the
so
way,
he was just safe. Because that
Timmons
was
is my
the other-
boy. I love Timmons. He's my boy.
Also, for everyone watching, us as a group, we tend to have a habit of just picking up the like wounded puppy NPCs that just wind up being
Mhm.
indispensable for everything.
Yeah.
Which is
That's how
great
it should
because
be.
PF2E has an actual functional follower system
I
built
mean,
into the system. So you
It's
know,
a
we can
habit
do
and-
that.
I mean, that's where Dougie Fresh came from.
yeah, yeah. Well, now we're getting off
The
topic.
stable hand made
Yeah.
freaking
Yeah.
We do
practically empire.
we do like our followers, and another
underdog
thing-
follower.
yeah, another thing that
Well-
you guys will probably see coming is we have a whole like building and
I just want to say though, when it comes to followers, I don't think we'd love our followers half so much if they just weren't so goddamn well written. So props to Zale for that. Like the NPCs, even the little like throwaway characters that we run into are just so well written. And I know a
And-
lot of it's off the cuff, but
It's so
like,
I literally on that is just I just whenever I throw out like commoners or whatever, if it says like obstinate commoner, right? He's the single most obstinate man in the world. He doesn't want whatever you're selling, right? And that's all it is just whatever the generator gives me, I adhere to it completely. And so in the case of Timmons, it was literally timid. And I was like, okay, all right, this guy he does not want to die. He is terrified for his life and, just will say anything, do anything. Also, timid people in that tribe probably don't do very well. And just just look at their little, whatever that one word personality trait is that it gives me. What does that mean for this person in this walk of life?
Yeah.
And yeah, just let that guide my characters, and then just
And
give
I
them
guess
a
the rest
funny
we
voice.
kind of create for you with how
Mhm.
we treat them and
Yeah,
what we
exactly.
give
Like,
them and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, like well, when you guys started giving Timmons stuff to do, then suddenly I'm like, okay, well, what is Timmons good at, right? Because now I need to know, right? Well, it turns out he's a mule riding, exploring fellow, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, just
Just come
give
down to
give
stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah, you just throw a couple of little like what's an odd knowledge base that I can give Timmons? Well, he knows about riding animals, right? He was like the group he was with, they were using wagons and pack animals and stuff like that. He was that guy for the group, and brings
now
that
he's
knowledge.
that guy for our group. So
Yeah.
With followers with a good enough foundation like that, like they'll just write themselves just with how the party, interacts with them, and so it becomes. We've had a lot of from, like I said, we have all kind of joined at different points in time, so like not all of not everybody has met everybody else's followers, but just from my own campaigns and more from what I've heard of, like in the first legendary campaign with Rack, I know it's just heard them mention like Dougie, he was like the follower. I had like a really cool orc captain in the first campaign, in my first campaign ever that I jived with. That was really cool, and then yeah, so our followers are.
You guys swap drugs like trading cards.
Yeah,
That's why you were friends.
He would give me magical tattoos for like different like drinks or like drugs that I would find around Kynera, and it was really cool.
I think the correct term was medicinal herbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Medicinal herbs, substances and whatnot.
Yeah, we just be careful about what we say on stream.
Not to be that guy, but we've gone very, very far from a recap of this.
Oh yeah,
Very true.
Yeah.
very
Welcome to the ADHD mind.
Yeah. This
Well,
is kind
I
of
mean,
just a tell-all. About
Yeah,
it.
yeah, like, and that's kind of what I intended, was to just kind of go a little off the rails, get a lot of the recap in, and then just kind of shoot the shit before we go off for the holidays, and just have a Pathfinder night without having to sit and play for 6 hours and, and stuff.
Kind of,
Yeah,
why we enjoy the game too.
yeah, why we enjoy the game, why we're still doing this. After I've been playing since I was 15 or 16, and I'm almost 40. Like, yeah, it makes you more creative. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just freshly started DMing my own campaign, and there's a there's a lot of stuff that's just like it makes you like look at the game different, and I don't know, it's enhanced my experience a lot. So
Yeah.
Well, I
There's,
found too
understand
that
just what goes into
well,
what you have to do, like when you're playing, like how much the DM actually has to do to
Mhm.
make that happen. For you kind of
yeah.
thing. So you just
And
deeper appreciation.
and then the to get into the sappy Christmas spirit of things, I would say that to some degree tabletop RPGs makes you a better person. Like
Yeah.
you're getting in the heads of other people, maybe not real people, but I think that getting a different perspective than your own can only ever really be helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're as real as you make them.
Yeah.
and it serves
With
for, as
Ragnar
like a
too,
cool
like I mean, all of our characters are just different facets of
of
our psyche,
ourselves.
basically,
Mhm.
right? So I mean, you are getting to know these other people, just the different parts that they may not show,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
right?
it's
in
really
public or something like.
for me it gives this like very fantastical feeling of like, it's almost like playing make believe as a kid, but like formatted and crisp.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah,
and
it's like it's make believe for adults, basically.
and it gives you like it's truly one of the only things that I think can give adults and older people like that childlike wonder,
Mm-hmm.
if there is anything that like that.
And if anything, there's a lot of like interactions that you can have in a fantasy setting when you're playing a character that you can't have like in real life.
My goal at the end of this campaign, when the next legendary campaign comes around, my goal is to have Savage and Roe cry at the end of the legendary campaign like everyone else has in the past.
Man,
You're gonna have to try really hard. I can't imagine. Like, you can kill my wife, and I still don't think I'd cry.
Jesus Christ.
damn, dude.
At the
Wow.
end of-
Jeez.
Well,
That's some big words right there.
No,
Savage's
meanwhile-
wife, if you
meanwhile-
ever watch this.
I just
No.
have one
I was
question.
talking about the one in the campaign. All right.
Who?
The real one.
Okay. Good
No, I
save,
would-
good
I
save,
would-
good save.
No, I would have a fucking. Yeah, it would be a
Let's,
no. Yeah,
let's
no,
hope,
let's
let's
not
hope the
talk
wife
about
doesn't
that.
see this.
No,
Yeah.
okay, I say that, right? But ever since I've
walked
been a
into the room,
dad,
she's behind him now. He's like,
no. Ever since I've been a dad, things hit me differently. It's just got to be like the right thing. Like, for whatever reason, you know that movie Inside Out or In and Out or whatever, that
Yeah,
Pixar
no,
movie.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's the part with a certain ridiculous like character means nothing to me. He disappears, and I out of nowhere I just started bawling out of nowhere,
Bro, for
and then
me,
like for like 3 seconds, and then I go, "What the fuck was that?"
bro, for me, what gets me, just a straight like, and this is you notice that I haven't written any of it into any of the campaigns, and that is touching father-son moments. I will cry.
Yeah, dude. Like I want to say TTRPGs has had a lot of effect on me with this, but also I give a lot of credit to Final Fantasy XIV and its incredible story. Shameless
Hashtag
plug, right?
Sponsored.
Yeah,
Hashtag
shameless plug though. But
3000.
man, I used to be like I would not cry. Like I just didn't happen. But after like playing through Final Fantasy XIV and then some of the story moments, really touching things that have happened over the course of our campaigns. God, just thinking about it's getting me choked up. I'm much more prone to getting teary-eyed at sensitive moments and stuff. I don't know that that's like I'm not like it's just it's one of those things I'm just like sometimes it's annoying, but I do feel like it's good to be able to be in touch with yourself, that side of yourself where it's just
Well, and I think this is like it certainly is like it's something I've tried to do, but it's not something that is like completely something that I've done. It's something that like the players have done more So, because I mean, the DM can only do so much in creating an environment where it is okay for everyone to be sort of emotionally vulnerable and stuff at when you're playing these games, and yeah,
Yeah.
just that we've created
Yeah.
an environment, sort of all of us together, where if one of us cries, we're not like, let's all point and laugh at this wuss, because that's
No, man. Honestly, though, like straight up, if one of us is crying at something, more than likely it's not just the one of them. It's more
Yeah.
than likely
Yeah,
it's
man. There was the
yeah.
end of the first arc of the Legendary campaign when
Mhm.
I honestly thought, from all the like prophecies and stuff that we got, that my character was going to die, and so I wrote. Like, my character kept like a journal, and this was like a well-established thing that my character always kept a journal. Blah blah blah. He was like the family man, like Hawkeye from the Avengers kind of thing. And so I wrote in the item that I had in my inventory of this quote unquote my character's journal, this like sad, like, I love you all and stuff like that, like, you've made me better person, all this shit. And I like posted at the end of the session, and everyone was losing it because like
Yeah.
I honestly thought that it was going to be like my character's going to have to do the heroic self-sacrifice to save the world, and he would, like, his last act would be to give this journal, give this to my wife and shit like that.
Mhm.
And
There was also the moment where it was like um I don't want to give like too much information because it's very personal amongst us, but like there was a moment at the end of the retort, like during the previous arc of the legendary campaign, where
yeah,
Zale basically bared his soul to us, like his actual like real life experiences and stuff, and in sort of a metagamey type moment within the game. And we got to walk around inside of his memories to an extent. And man, that whole session, just like everybody was crying by the end of it.
yeah.
It was,
That
and
was the session where I thought that I was going to die, and then I found out, oh no, this
yeah,
is something else entirely. And I'm like, well,
but,
I did all this writing for nothing, but here, I'm gonna post it anyway.
but yeah, it's like it's really gratifying to be able to have friends like that, where you can feel free to share things like that, real life experiences that you've had, and have other people just
Just,
accept you and not
yeah,
judge you.
being accepting.
And god damn it.
And this is what we're talking about, folks.
yeah, this is what we're talking about. Like, it is okay. Like, there's never like judgment for getting emotional at the table. Like that session that Ginger was just talking about, I literally spent half that session wiping my face with, like, I just literally had a box of Kleenex that I got before the session because I knew before we even started. I was like, I'm gonna get super emotional this session. And yeah, I was not wrong, and I spent a lot of that session while you guys were talking, just muted, just like, oh my god.
I don't know how you held it together, because you kept your voice so calm, like it always is. I still don't know how you managed to do that.
Years of childhood emotional abuse.
That's
No,
a
I
good thing, dude.
no, like,
But yeah,
but
no,
that's one of those things where it's that was a joke, but also kind of not a joke. I mean, we were just growing up. It was not okay for us to cry, so me and my brother got real good at suppressing that when we need to. And yeah, not a good thing, but a useful skill, I guess. Tools for living.
Yeah, but I think
But
like
yeah.
being able to cry is not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And again, I think it's one of those things that we fostered a good group dynamic, and it's bled into these fantasy worlds in different ways. And
Well, then that's made us all closer because even if we're not playing Pathfinder, we're playing something else together, or we're just sitting here shooting the shit.
yeah, I
Mhm.
think most of us we didn't meet through D&D. Like me and Zale met through World of Warcraft, and
Yeah, I met
same thing with me and
Ginger through Final Fantasy. I met Rack through WoW. I met,
Xander
but
through Final Fantasy as well.
but
Okay.
but everybody here sort of, I feel like we got like the glue that bound us all together was tabletop RPGs.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
started it all. Was when we started. We were just having a conversation after a late night of raiding one night, and started talking about Dungeons and Dragons. And I had never played before. Never had the opportunity. I grew up in a Southern Baptist household, so go figure. The Satanic Panic was definitely strong in my family. But so I'd always heard about it, but just never had the opportunity to try it. And we got to talking about it, and one thing led to another, and here we are. We're going on. We just crossed 3 years actually, and God damn it. But yeah, we just we just passed the 3 year mark of my having met Xander and Zale, and then the rest of the group. Just playing TTRPGs is what's kept us together. Even when we go our separate ways to play different games and stuff, we all just we always come back for Saturday night.
we're the type of group that literally so a couple of us are playing WoW now, but before we were a bunch of people were in between games. There are times where literally 6 or 7 of us would just sit in the Discord all doing completely different things, and most of the time we're not even talking. Most of the time we're just all sitting in Discord quietly, and then somebody will post a meme or some shit will happen, and then,
And then we'll pop off, we'll start laughing and talking.
Yeah.
And there's been other times when the Discord is just dead. Like no one's saying anything, and we'll go almost an entire week with barely a single post. But then Saturday comes around and everyone's there ready to go for D&D. Like it's
it's become like this
it's
checkpoint for
it's
the
a-
week.
yeah, for sure. And dude, it's part of what makes the holidays kind of like nobody likes going and doing holiday stuff. It's it just is what it is. Holidays are nice, but let's be fair, they also kind of suck. And it makes the holidays rough, man. Not being able to run campaign, and I may try and see if we can do something. I don't know if we'll stream it or not because I'll be running it from my Steam Deck.
From the Steam, I was just about to say,
Yeah,
I'll be running it from the
the
Steam Deck.
Steam Deck
Powerful
campaign.
machine, man.
My
Powerful
mom's
machine.
terrible internet, dude. I'm not concerned about running it off the Steam Deck. I'm concerned about running it on the internet there.
Mhm.
That's what would concern me. I have every ability to run it. I just don't know if the internet will handle it. And we don't use the Forge because when I'm home, my internet is.
Oh, is there there's an actual offline version?
They do hosting, right?
Oh.
So that you
Mhm.
can get a server ready and put it up on the Forge, and then they will just keep it online at all times for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a really good thing. I just I don't really need it. For one,
Yeah,
I
it's not-
don't necessarily like having the server up all the time, so that people can go in and muck around with their characters and stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't really like that. But
Sounds like you don't trust us.
uh,
And the truth comes out.
I've caught players who are no longer playing with us cheating before, and so it did make me a little suspicious of players, and I do watch like a hawk. but it's not on. It was no one here, so
I'm sure you would have told us otherwise.
Yeah.
yeah.
I highly
also-
doubt you just let that
Let it
chill.
go.
Yeah, I talked to the person about it and was like, "Hey, don't do that." And yeah, that was. And then I started watching everybody a little bit more closely and just didn't say anything to the group at large. And I still wouldn't say like who it was or anything like that. But it was more than one person.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that's also like we're a group that like we shit on Ginger a lot for rules lawyering us, but I'm at like in the moment it always sucks because like either you read something wrong or it just doesn't work. Like it says a thing, but it actually works like some like adjacent way, and so you come up with this whole plan in your head, and then you do it, and then you hear the actually from Ginger, and you're like fuck, you're like oh my god, like no,
Again, right?
yeah, and it sucks in the moment, but then overall like it feels better to succeed like within the bounds of the rules kind of thing.
And to be
Agreed.
fair, I also don't only screw over the party. I screw over
He
Zale
does-
just about as often.
Very
and
good.
himself,
So-
and himself
And myself. I will screw my I think I've actually put my character dying before rules lawyering, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. There was one time where I did that.
And we
So-
do have and we're not super like by the book either. Like we do have a good balance of rule of cool. Like if someone's about to do something dope, there are
I'll yeah, it's
there are
I'll
times where
let
it's just
some
like
stuff slide.
as like even and most of the time, and the thing about what is nice is most of the time it's not like anybody is flagrantly out of the rules. It's more like it's like a little misunderstanding about this part or that part, and so
Mhm.
even the rule of cool things like are still like not super far fetched and like makes sense, and so it just kind of works out, and like it winds up always like feeling good overall.
Yeah, and that goes for all of the DMs in our groups. I've been pretty good on that.
Yeah,
Because you just can't
That's sorry,
track everything.
I just noticed one of Alistair's miniature portraits is him just holding out his arms, making a kissing face.
I'm
Wait, what?
praying. Thank you.
Are you praying?
I'm praying.
It looks like you're about to kiss somebody.
Oh yeah, I can. Suppose I could scroll in and show some of that. So one of the things I like to go for immersion, and so these guys all have several different tokens that they can freely swap
Alright.
between on their main characters.
Yeah, and it makes for a cool like little just like extra immersion. If you're like facing a certain way by a door, you can like click it on. It's like you have like relaxed poses or like combat poses. It's nice.
And all the minis, we haven't mentioned this. We should mention this more probably, but all the minis are from Hero Forge. Not a sponsor, but
Actually,
man, how I wish they would be. But yeah, get your minis from Hero Forge. They're awesome. Please sponsor us.
Yes, please.
Yes,
Fucking-
please.
We love your minis. They're so good. I've gotten very good at making them, I like to think.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a great, really. You pay the sub for Hero Forge. You won't regret it if you're DMing.
Also, I was using it to put minis inside of Tailspire, so
mhm.
if that floats your boat, check that out too.
And we've also got. We were also able to use Hero Forge to get Savage process them all, and I've got them all in a format where I can use them in Blender now, which is also really cool. I need to sit down and get good at rigging and stuff so we can get some intros of you guys like running and
Yeah, that's another thing is, as long as I've been here, and it seems that this is the general consensus, even for the people who have been here longer, is the production quality like constantly goes up, even in Foundry like from Fantasy Grounds to Foundry VTT, just baseline was like a big production upgrade. But even just like since we've been in Foundry for the past year and a half.
Yeah, like for probably about a year and a half now.
Yeah, it's been like just the things that we figured out how to do and things that they've added to Foundry, like things that Zale has just like seemingly like made up and pulled out of his ass to make happen on this VTT, or like it really keeps it like, it feels like for me, because it was my first for my first big campaign, at least it felt like as our characters got stronger, like their production quality went up, like they became more and more real almost.
Yeah, like I was able to start getting like through that campaign. I was at like because at the start of that campaign we had just moved into Foundry, and so I was learning how to do all the cool stuff. Like right now, you can see the little ion stones like floating around these guys' tokens and stuff. Like I couldn't have done that when we first started, and now I've got all these modules and stuff like that, so that you have all these neat little effects when they do a lot of their spells. They can set up animations and like weapon attacks and everything else. And yeah, I did like it felt like the campaign's like really like around probably like level 10, I think, was when we started having a lot of that, and it really started to come alive. And yeah, there was a couple fights at the end of that first Pathfinder campaign that like with all of the sort of graphical stuff and immersive stuff that Foundry let us do, that just really, I was like, okay, yeah, this is what it's about. And now with vehicles and mechanisms, some of the stuff that I've got planned for this campaign in the future and future campaigns, just with vehicles and mechanisms alone is incredible for this. I mean, you've been using it in your campaign with the boat.
Yeah, to a much lower degree, I will confess. But yes, it's like when I tell you guys, I am like the most noob. Like Foundry makes it so easy. I do everything like very slapdash as well. Like I just, when it comes to me for DMing, like I have kind of moments of like inspiration where I'll be able to flesh out a lot of the bullshit that I came up with on the spot. But
you're for a writer DM for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and so, but Foundry just makes it like super easy to just like run a base. Like I'm not I know the rules to a like good extent, and I think that's another thing to our whole group. There's not really that person who like you constantly have to tell like I hear a lot of these.
We're all pretty obsessed with the rules. Like as soon as we got into Pathfinder, we immediately just started reading everything. And we can do this. Oh, we can do that. Oh, this is cool. That's cool. Did you know this?
Before we go off on a large tangent, because I just heard Ginger pipe up and he can go on about rules.
Well, sorry.
Before we go on another large tangent, I just wanted to say that, like, the groups, like, you hear a lot of groups is like, there's always one or two people who are like not really invested. They're just there to hang out.
You got me.
Yeah. Nobody.
Yeah, okay.
For sure,
Rack is like the most invested.
You got me. I'm not
You
invested. Let me go to
practically
sleep.
helped create the session.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we literally like everybody is like locked in. So there's never even like there's never that thing where it's like, you know, what modifier do I add to this? Because everybody has like optimized their build so much that it's just like I think I'm missing a +1 for my seventh
Oh,
for
no.
my seventh bonus. Like, where
Yes.
this guy this guy should be flanked because if you draw the line, I'm actually within the thing to get flanked. It's like we are on it. Even in my campaign, I have 2 new players, and
we
even
all
them,
rules lawyer enough to
and even them,
have
we
on
all
it,
rules
yeah.
lawyer enough so much that we've only been playing maybe a month and a half, and Pathfinder's a beefy system, and they for the most part have got it down. Every now and then they'll have problems finding things in Foundry maybe, but in terms of base rules, like they kind of get what's going on.
Like,
And so it's been super nice.
a lot of people like will complain that Pathfinder has too many rules. And I can see where they're coming from, but at the same time, the way the system is set up, it's very modular, and a lot of
Yeah,
things
you
don't really interfere with each other too
Yeah,
much.
you don't like
So,
you
like-
can come in and play, say, like a rogue, and you don't need to know all the rules for fighter.
Yeah,
for you to
all you
play
need
a
to know
rogue.
is the rules for your character, and that's
Mhm.
really it. Like, you don't have to know every rule in the system. It's gonna help you if you do, and it'll help the other players and the GM.
You
But
get a lot less of actually.
Yeah,
true.
Another thing is like the character rules
Savage seems
inform you a lot about the
little
like the,
salty
char-
here.
the
No,
character
I'm-
rules
I'm
inform you
saying-
a lot about the system rules. Like it kind of transitions into itself seemingly, because when you
Mhm.
look up stuff for your character, like I don't know, maybe it's archives of Nethys, but Paizo does a really good job of like even looking one thing up will gain you like a good amount of knowledge and
Well,
the system as a whole.
so I think a lot of it too is the conditions system being so much more fully realized. This is something that, like, as a DM, I've noticed is like in 5e, very seldom was stuff being done that was like status effects, right?
Mhm.
And everything in Pathfinder is like, oh, they're enfeebled. Oh, they're drained. Oh, they're stunned. Oh, they're
Mhm.
they're this, they're that. They have some condition. Oh, they have like this, rank 3, and that just it's glorious.
Yeah, the only
Yeah.
condition that screwed me over in 5e was blind and deaf. If you
Yeah.
want to take out a ranger, that is exactly how you do it.
Dude,
Yeah.
and like the other night in Rose campaign, I got enfeebled on my fighter kineticist, and oh dude, that just neuters me so hard.
Mhm.
Like, it's just like I literally, I think I even said, was like, well, I'm pretty useless now, so I hope someone can take care of me.
And that goes back to like the nice balance of Pathfinder is like you can make things hard for your players without like
Pure damage.
or just like overload of
Mhm.
enemies or
Well,
whatever.
the other thing too is by leveraging status conditions, a party can take out monsters that are much higher level than them.
Yeah.
Basically just by whittling them down to their own
Yeah,
level.
this group has actually done encounters. Like when we were first moving over, we tested a lot of stuff. Like we like I said, we play a lot, so we tested a lot of stuff, and this party was actually able to fight and defeat a boss that was 5 levels up on them and like built out as a player character.
Yeah, just because we were able to flank, we were able to get demoralizes, we were able to get like different status effects on him that like would lower his AC or his attacks and buffed each other. Like it's again to the balance. Like it's a system that works against you and for you if you use it right. So it's like
Mhm. One of the biggest, like, it took a lot to get used to at first, was the plus minus 10 system. for crits and crits and failures. It's just like in 5e, there's always a 5% chance that you can critically succeed. There's always a 5% chance that you can normal or that you can critically fail. Whereas in Pathfinder, there's sometimes more than a 5% chance, and like purely like you can go from only being able to critically succeed on a natural 20 to, if through the right amount of debuffs and buffs, you can make it so that you can crit on a 17 or something like that. Even on a monster that's like a couple levels up on you. Because of that, like that's another reason why the condition system works so well, and the way the conditions interact with each other. If you stack the right buffs and debuffs on each other, you can facilitate more damage output. So that's where like party synergy comes into play a lot too. Being able to access all of those different conditions,
You can
and use them to your advantage.
you can punch above your weight class.
Yeah, very much
as we
so.
say here in the South.
Yeah. So it's like, that's not to say that it's still like, sometimes when you're fighting something that's, you know, a few levels like 4 or 5 levels up on you, it's gonna be sketchy. Just, like, for sure.
It's gonna be sketchy and it's gonna be sloggy,
Mhm.
but
Because
it's doable.
a boss like
Practice,
that
right.
can easily crit you, like with very little effort, just from pure numbers. But if you're able to debuff them appropriately, then you can turn it from the boss critting you on, let's say, a 17. You can make it so they can only crit you on a nat 20,
Also-
just through the appropriate debuffs.
As a DM, there's only been a couple of fights where I've really, like, coming from 5e, where I've felt the loss of a mechanic, and that mechanic is legendary resistances. I've actually felt the loss of that
Yeah.
a couple times.
Yeah, that was it was great when you needed some, like, because there were a lot of nasty effects in D&D 5e where it's just like it's save or suck.
Mhm.
Where like sometimes the boss would just fail on a fluke.
Yep.
Yeah, they just
And
had a crit failure at the
Mhm.
worst possible
Yeah,
time, and
you
you're
could
like,
just
oh,
legendary
okay, well, that's
resistance.
just
Oh,
not a thing.
I would like to have a honorable mention of that time that we took the one action that is widely known by the Pathfinder community to be a absolutely useless action, and used it to completely neuter a boss, and that action is disarm.
True.
Yeah, I remember
Very
that.
true.
You had a crit
We're all
disarm on a
standing there.
first action on a boss who was just destroying us, and he had a 15-foot reach weapon, and we removed it from him, threw it across the room, and he was screwed. There was
Yeah,
nothing
and
he
he's
could
like,
do.
what's he gonna do? He's gonna pick up that weapon. Well, all right, attack of opportunity, attack of opportunity, attack of opportunity.
Exactly.
yeah,
It's like,
It's
sure
like-
you want to do that, sir?
disarm is very challenging to get to work
You
correctly,
pretty much
but when it
have to
does,
crit
yeah,
for it to
and
do
that's
anything.
why. And I think the reason you got was it a natural 20, or was it like did we buff it? Or
No,
did
it,
it
was
was
a
a
nat
nat
20.
20,
It was
yeah.
a nat
20.
20.
Yeah, well, it could also very well have been that there was a 5% chance that you got the crit, but also we could have made it through buffs and debuffs so that you could have critically succeeded
Without
that
it.
check
Yeah.
without a nat 20.
On that poll, we didn't have that though. It was literally just he ran
Mhm.
in, and it
He
was
ran in disarmed and got lucky.
got
and
got the
Mhm.
nat 20.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's why the normal success on disarm is the way it is. Because the other thing too is they do take that penalty to their attack rolls for the round that it lasts, or they can just spend an action to
Yeah,
shift their
give up
grip
an
and
action.
remove the debuff. But at the same time, like you're trading action economy there. So like
I mean, we were gonna trade either way. Like if he only got a
Yeah.
success, I remember we were setting up for all of us to continue the train of I'm gonna disarm this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Until
it
someone they were gonna
increases
fish for
the-
it.
It
Yeah.
increases the the effect every time for someone else trying to disarm. So like, yeah, we could have just doubled down.
Eventually, someone would have gotten him.
Mhm.
But
But at the same
yeah.
time, it's like, or what was I saying?
That was definitely one of those situations where a lesser used move that people generally regard as being trash just came in and saved the day.
Mhm.
And in any other situation, like in any of the like arena nights that we've run, you definitely like not seeing disarms.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why, like, I feel like a lot of the well, I love the 3 action system in Pathfinder because of the fact that action economy is king, and there's some debuffs out there that numbers wise, just on a page, they're not that great. But when you take into account that they can potentially cost a boss an action, and like if it's just one boss against 4 or 5 players, the boss is already at a disadvantage for having only 3 actions. That's why they have such big numbers comparatively, because the boss has 3 actions to the party's 15 actions or 12 actions depending on how many people.
Well, I think this is an important time to note too that we pretty much run the full suite of variant rules. I mean, it's the name of the channel, right? And so the builds and everything that are in the like optimization and stuff that you're seeing as a player, as a DM in our campaigns, is very different than what you would see in single class rules as written. Especially for the arena night stuff. Like, and I'm sure Savage can attest to this, like, there's just some stuff that, like, if I was actually playing in a campaign that I'd be like, oh, I'm definitely gonna look at this and that. But the second that we're like, oh, it's arena night time, I just was like, oh, nope. It's just everything is in for combat, and it's also very, like, I don't know. It's very specific combat stuff. I feel like too.
I just can't go to the not playing the whole shebang. It's too good.
Yeah, every time I make
on that subject, when it comes to the us using the variant rules thing, yes, at face value you might think like, oh, they have 2 classes, they're just running through it overpowered. I thought they were trying to get away from the 5e godhood. But the way that difficulty can be changed in Pathfinder, the difficulty can match and exceed us, so that even though we do have all these other options, it mostly ends up being a wash, but we get to build a character that we want. Like me and Ginger have both made monk maguses or monk fighters, and they both played completely different. They had their own spin on it, their own flavor. And yeah, sure, you get extra feats and stuff like that, but because Pathfinder has a much better system than the challenge rating system, you can actually, Zao or any of the GMs can actually build the monsters or even other NPC bosses to be at a spot that they need to. One of the rules that we go by is just treat your entire party as if they're 1 level higher than they are, and then pick a boss or a mob accordingly, and it's worked out so far.
Yeah, the only sort of caveat is just treat for the purposes of encounter balancing, I treat you guys as 1 level higher than you are, but I don't take any enemies that are more than 4 levels above your actual level, because that's usually where your modifiers are. So it usually ends up meaning that you guys have slightly larger encounters than you would have in, sort of rules as written single class, but not enough that it ever gets sloggy, because you guys do have just a little bit of extra power to punch through.
Because the main thing about dual class free archetype is that you're not getting as much extra power as you think. That for sure, there's a couple of dual class combinations out there that can be really potent. Here's looking at you, barbarian and fighter. But for the most part, when you do dual class free archetype, you're making broader characters rather than taller characters in that sense. Because the main reason for that is because of the 3 action economy in Pathfinder. Yeah, you have 2 classes worth of abilities plus archetypes and everything else, but you've still only got 3 actions. So it ends up coming out like, and your modifiers aren't really any higher either, because you're still of that level. So your modifiers are still scaled to that level.
You just probably have more things that you're good at. It ends up being versatility more than raw power because of 3 action economy and stuff.
Exactly. So
yeah, it's very nice. I don't know, the characters, to me, the dual class free archetype characters feel more like I don't know, they feel more real than a single class character. A single class character, like, I don't know, maybe if you were running like low magic, low power, I could see going single class rules as written. But if you want any sort of like, you know, like power level out of your party, and like for them to feel like, because even though you're not getting that much raw power, you do feel a lot more powerful. Right.
Well, not even just that, like just going back on the they feel like real life people. Like a person can be skilled in a lot of different things, and a lot of various like widely variant things in real life, and it doesn't have to make a lot of sense. But when you've only got the one class and the one like just the rules as written build, there's some things you just can't get at. So I understand it's for the sake of balance, but at the same time, it's like it just doesn't. The characters feel one-dimensional in their skills and their abilities.
Yeah, and it also just, you guys probably already touched on this, but just like if you're like a gamer, right, like us, you like, especially people coming from, and I feel like there's a lot of crossover here, right? Especially people coming from MMOs or other kind of in-depth RPGs. You like customizing your character and specializing them is like, a lot of the fun, and like Pathfinder, like you just have that.
Well, and if you're coming from video games, right, which is where most of the people that are playing tabletop RPGs, right, they're coming from video games, or they're like theater nerds, right? And if you're coming from video games, most RPGs are oriented such that they have like 40, 50, 60, 99 levels, right? And you're making a lot more decisions, a lot more customization, and I feel like Pathfinder feels more, you feel more at home stepping into Pathfinder because you have so much agency and stuff. It feels more like what you're used to.
And like going off on a little bit of an example, when I do the Pathfinder prototype videos, it's been really like a really interesting dive into the way the system works, because almost as soon as we started messing around with Pathfinder 2e, we started with the variant rules and using those, and we've just been using those pretty much exclusively ever since we started Pathfinder. So going back and limiting myself with just the rules as written builds for the Pathfinder prototypes has been a really interesting exercise in my character building skills, because I'm taking these super overpowered like superhero characters from popular culture, and I'm trying to condense them down into a single class identity, and it gets really challenging. And I feel like probably my most inspired one thus far has been the Raiden build for Metal Gear Rising, because of the fact that the way that character is portrayed, most people would think, go fighter, because and if I was doing like a dual class build for him, I would definitely go like a monk fighter build. Um, but and then most people would say go fighter, but I was like, I feel like monk is more central to his character identity. And then like I had to make some decisions and in a couple of places where like I can pull in an archetype here, and give up a class feat from monk, and I've had to do that on a few of the different builds where I've just like I've took a break from the class, pulled in an archetype, for some extra like versatility, and it's been like overall it's been a really interesting experience. And if the rest of you haven't done this, I would highly recommend you give it a shot at some point, because it will change your outlook a little bit on building characters, the way we've been building them. But I don't know really know where I was going with that, but I just wanted to like
I'm gonna tangent hard off of that and say that there's some theory behind that, in that like sort of constraint forces creativity.
yeah, exactly.
So I mean,
And
that makes sense.
that pretty much that was a nice sentence to summarize
Yeah,
the full paragraph I just said.
And that brings up a good point that, yes, we love the dual class variant and the variant rules that we go with. That doesn't mean to say that the rules as written is bad. I mean, if you compare it to another tabletop game, a monk from PF2E, two different people playing a monk in PF2E could be very different in what they can do, what they can't do, their feats, their actions. They could be built absolutely very differently.
I
But
would
in
argue
another
monk
one,
is one of the most like versatile classes in the game.
Yeah. And then you go to another tabletop, and if you only put points into monk, every monk is gonna be the same.
Yeah, you're gonna have 4 abilities that are different.
Yep.
And that's it. Whereas Pathfinder,
Yeah, there's just so much to have.
I mean, you could build in Pathfinder. You could build a tank monk who increases his AC when he goes into a certain stance, or a trip monk, or just a straight up. I'm trying to hit you with as much elemental damage as I can, monk. Like, there's so many different ways that you can do it.
well, a great example is you guys actually had a couple of different followers, and I think that Ginger built one, Xander built the other. In the previous campaign, and they literally were the exact same ancestry, main class, dual class, and free archetype. Yet the two characters were completely different and filled different roles, despite all of their like core choices being the same.
And that's one thing I think Pathfinder has way above another popular tabletop.
I think over most popular tabletops.
See, I don't know. I don't have as much experience as you guys, so I didn't want to say that and sound like a dumbass. To be honest.
Yeah, like the ones that are kind of for what we're doing, 5e and PF2e are kind of the big ones, but you do have some stuff like excuse me, Munchkin and GURPS in there that are sort of combat oriented tabletops, but they don't really
Brings me back.
Yeah, same. But they're not as like robust or streamlined as Pathfinder.
Granted, one's a joke one that is meant to be just completely bonkers.
Yeah, true. But then like a lot of the other tabletop games, like say like White Wolf or Call of Cthulhu or something like that, those aren't super combat oriented. right? A lot of those games, especially like Call of Cthulhu and Vampire the Masquerade, those are like Vampire the Masquerade is all like politics and subterfuge and that sort of thing. And then Call of Cthulhu is just trying not to go insane as you're tortured by these fucking old gods. And it's much more like investigations and stuff like that. They're very much more like RP driven systems, and so like combat, when combat does happen, it is very much not streamlined like Pathfinder. And then there's a couple that get into sort of like more like war stuff, and I need to like kind of another tangent here, but does anyone know what's the deal with the Kingmaker rules for PF2E? Like, is that out? I've seen people say it's out. I've seen people say it isn't. I don't know. I need those rules. I need my players to be able to make kingdoms.
Yeah, that would be super cool.
Yeah, like I need that. I need those rules on Archives of Nethys, please. But yeah, sort of on that note, though, I kind of only really planned for this discussion to go like recap and a little bit of discussion for about an hour. We've already gone about 2 hours.
As per usual.
Yeah, as per usual. So I think we're gonna go ahead and wind it down. And
if you're still here, or if you're watching this later on and you have any questions, you got anything you guys want to ask us, please put it down in the comments or hit up our Discord. Also, I just wanted to pose if any of you out there are interested in trying to play some PvP Pathfinder. If so, I would love to try to maybe start up like a monthly or weekly game with some of the viewers.
yeah,
Doesn't-
Let us know.
Discord link in the description.
get in them comments.
Get in the Discord if you want to get the PvP going.
Yeah, Discord.
Way more.
Way more stuff in the Discord. We have campaign extras, which includes videos, animations, stuff like that, so that you can actually just see a pretty realistic rendering of what, say, a Namiral looks like, or letters from NPCs, stuff like that. There's neat stuff in there. Discussion. Come join us.
Much more reliable way of getting a hold of any of the players.
Very, very true. And then other than that, happy holidays. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next year.
All I want for Christmas is you. I just want you.
Stay tuned to our YouTube channel, because we do have videos coming out through the holidays. We may take a couple of weeks off when it gets a little bit closer to Christmas, but yeah, we still have some videos planned.
Yep. So expect some content. We might try to spice something up, and
it's just the stream that's taking a break.
Taking a
The
break.
videos are still coming. And with that, we are